Baseball and barbecue listeners, you are in for a huge treat. You know, occasionally we like to pull back the curtain on this show. I'm going to pull back the curtain right now and tell you all that this gentleman we're going to have had a podcast with Gilbert Gottfried. And I know that I'm not the only one because I have heard that other podcasters have emulated the show. And they say imitation is the best form of flattery. Well, I guess our guest is going to get flattered a lot, starting with the introduction. So hang on, because here it is.
Oh, God. I'm bracing myself, Leonard.
Our guest this week is one of the most respected comedy writers in the business.
Oh, you're wrong right off the bat.
He's an Emmy-winning writer whose work has been featured on The View, Ellen DeGeneres, The Joy Behar Show, and countless roasts, award shows, and television specials. Over the course of his remarkable career, he's written jokes for everyone, from legendary comedians to corporate CEOs. He's crafted gags for bubblegum comics. That's Bazooka Joe for anyone who's old enough to remember those. I love Bazooka Joe. And trading cards, including Topps trading cards, the Wacky Packs, the Garbage Pail Kids, all of that. And of course, he's kept the spirit of classic comedy alive for the new generations, for the old generations. He may be best known as the co-host and co-producer of the Gilbert Gottfried Amazing Colossal podcast, which for several episodes, because I was a huge fan of that show, Gilbert Gottfried could never say the name of, and our guest, he couldn't pronounce his name as well. So we'll get to that. He currently has a show called Fun for All Ages. Now, if this intro isn't long enough, let's keep going. As I said, he wrote for Bazooka Joe Comics, Wacky Packages, Garbage Pail Kids, and Hollywood trading cards for Topps. He's written for Bill Murray, Howard Stern, Sarah Silverman, Meryl Streep, Martin Short, Ben Stiller, Nathan Lane, Jane Lynch. He's even written for the Boston Red Sox. We also have some connections. He knows David Wild, a guest on this show, Seth Rogowski, a guest on this show. He's friends with Craig Bierko, somebody that I went to high school with.
Wow.
He also knows John Marcus, who has been on our show and we are very fond of. So without further ado, and I could go on and on and on, but as they would say on his show, this could then double as or work as an obituary.
Yep. Found dead in his Manhattan apartment.
Exactly. But I am so, Jeff and I, we're thrilled to welcome to the show Frank Santopadre. Welcome, Frank, to
Very
Baseball and
kind.
Barbecue.
Oh, gentlemen, what a glowing intro. I fear I cannot live up to it. Yes, Gilbert would read. So that intro, I assume, was done in the spirit of one of the Gilbert Amazing Colossal podcast
Absolutely.
intros.
Well, he would read them, but you would write them, Frank.
Yes, and he would the most defeating part was he would read one without error and just nail it and then get to the name and mispronounce the guest's name. Never let me. But of course, as you pointed out, he didn't know my name for the first 16 shows.
Right. Yeah.
But that was Gil.
Yeah.
God bless him.
What a great, I mean, that's definitely part of, I know when you were 20 years old, you first saw him at a comedy show, right?
2 blocks from here, comic strip on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Yeah. Yeah. Fell madly in love with him.
Yeah, very unique. But before that, so you knew very early on that you wanted to be a writer.
I went to yes and no. I went to art school. I was telling you guys off mic. I went to the School of Visual Arts here in Manhattan, and my dad was an illustrator, and I thought, well, I could make a go of this. I had a little artistic ability. I was going to be an illustrator or some form of cartoonist if the situation presented itself. I kind of stumbled into comedy writing by hanging around in comedy clubs and being heavily influenced by sketch comedy, by early SNL, by Python, by things like that. and I suppose the old Carson show and the MTM sitcoms and the Norman Lear sitcoms. So it's somewhere in my heart. I had a love for this stuff, but I never really sat myself down and thought, oh, I could make a living doing this. That was really all quite accidental.
And
Happy accidents, right?
oh, you must have had a great life if you're enjoying what you're doing and making people laugh. That's got to be a great life.
Yeah, I mean, it's work. You
Hmm.
know, when you're on the outside looking in, you think it's going to be, what is this? I'm going to botch this, but someone once said something like the candy store. The candy in the store is never so attractive as when you're waiting and pressing your nose up against the glass, waiting for the store to open. Once you get in it and you've done it, I've been working on a daily television show for 15 years. It becomes a job.
Uh-huh.
And don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for it. I still do pinch myself. I still walk in the morning and I say I'm working on a live television show and there's a new audience there every day. And I don't take any of it for granted. I've been very fortunate. But it
Frank,
was all a happy accident, really.
when I reached out to you,
Hmm.
I actually didn't even know about your any association with baseball. I just knew that you were somebody I really wanted to speak to. Now, of
Well,
course,
thank you. And thanks
you're
for
very
having me,
welcome.
by the way,
Mhm.
because I didn't get that in at the top.
It's our pleasure.
I appreciate the invitation.
Jeff's more of a stickler. Like I mentioned in the intro, Craig Bierko, who you've
Yeah.
had numerous times on your show. Now, Craig
Yes.
and I went to high school together.
So you're from Rye?
Rybrook.
Oh,
Yes.
Rye Brook, excuse
Yeah.
me. Yes. Okay, that explains it.
Yeah. And the high school we went to, Blindbrook High School, was very small.
Okay. I'll be mentioning you to him.
Yeah. So as a matter of fact, Jeff, I have to tell this story.
Okay,
I must tell the story.
go ahead.
Hopefully Frank will appreciate it, and hopefully if Craig hears it, he'll appreciate it. So Craig was involved with theater, obviously, in high school.
Uh-huh.
I even heard a story that Craig had gotten a role on a soap opera, and I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently he turned it down because he was involved with the school play and it would conflict. I don't know if that's true or not. It might have just
Interesting.
been a rumor. I don't know.
Okay. We'll verify that.
Okay. But we had a music teacher, George Troutwine, and we love George Troutwine. He was fantastic. And he passed away years after we had both graduated. So they were having a dedication of the auditorium at the school
Hmm.
in his name. So I went to it. Craig Bierko was there, and Jeff. I guess I knew that Craig was going to be there, and Jeff said to me, because Craig was in a movie. What movie was it, Jeff? Where he got to be in the
It was
movie,
the most recent like Three Stooges movie.
right? And
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
he was with but who was the actress that he got to kiss?
Sofia Vergara.
Oh yeah. So Jeff said, "Tell Craig he's a lucky SOB." Right. So I go up to, so Craig is with someone, it might have been his aunt that he was with.
Okay.
And I said, Craig, I got to tell you, you were in that movie, you were with Sofia Vergara, and a friend of mine wants me to tell you, you're a lucky SOB. And the woman next to him said, he's not lucky, he's talented. And I said, he may be talented, but he's a lucky
Yeah,
SOB.
there you go. Doesn't change anything.
So, and that was the last time I saw Craig. But
Oh, I'll say
yeah,
hi.
yeah, please tell him
We
I
spent a
said
lot of time together. Well, because he was on the show, he was on the old show several times, and then we
right.
spent a lot of time together on the strike line, on the picket line, couple of summers ago when the WGA went out with SAG,
Hmm.
and we had some memorable lunches. He's a great storyteller. He's a natural raconteur.
Yeah, what's amazing about him is he's in many things. I mean, I've seen him in a Murphy Brown episode. He
Oh
was in
yeah,
not Law and Order, the
he's a
show with
Boston
right,
Being
Legal.
Boston
Legal.
Legal.
Yeah,
He was in the Max Baer the
sure.
boxing
He's in
movie.
Sex and the
Right?
City.
Yeah,
He's not mad about
all of
you.
these things.
Yeah.
And I remember one time watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade it opens with the revival of the Music
Music
Man, and
Man.
he
Yeah.
was right.
Yep. Yep.
Yet, if you say the name Craig Bierko to someone, they're like, "Who?" You know, but he's one of those people that
He's one of that guy, one of those that guy actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
He's
So
wonderfully talented.
yes, he
We have a
absolutely
lot of
is.
fun. I'm on an email chain with him and an email group with him and Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski, who wrote Ed Wood, and Michael McKean and Patton Oswalt and all these other very, very funny people, and Steven Weber from Wings, and Richard Kind, all these real wonderful characters in this email group. And Craig holds his own. It's an intimidating group with those names, as you would imagine. And
Yes.
he's as funny as anybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
anyway, tell him I said hello. I doubt he'll remember me, but it was a small high school, and I was always in the chorus of the shows, and he was, one of the stars all
I'm
the
sure he
time.
will remember you. Actually, he's pretty good at that sort of thing.
All right, we'll
I'll
see.
I'll bring it up. I don't know what he knows about baseball, but you guys can have him on.
Well,
Well, that was the thing.
speaking of baseball, I wanted to ask you about how you started with writing baseball cards. How did that happen?
Another accident. I was in SVA, transferring from the art department, where I didn't last very long, over to the film department. And I fell in with a bunch of guys. One was a cartoonist named Mark Newgarden, who your listeners can look up, who was one of the co-creators of Garbage Pail Kids, along with the Pulitzer winner, Art Spiegelman,
Hmm.
although he doesn't go around telling people that. And I found out you could go to Tops. In those days, they had a factory in Brooklyn that was lost in time.
Yeah.
It's long gone, but I'm sure it was filled with asbestos. It was it was like walking into a munitions factory, but it was in the 90s. And you could go in, and an artist could come in, or a writer could come in, and you'd get a day rate. You'd get, I think, $200 or something for the day to come in and brainstorm gags or work on. I think the first thing I did for them was Bazooka Joe. I was maybe 8, 9 years out of college at this point. I'd met so many people in SVA that opened doors. I wound up working for Mad Magazine too, through the same kind of connections. But in those days at Topps, you would go in and you would work a day as a freelancer, and you'd sit in an office, and they'd basically throw things on your plate. What do you want to work on? What are you good at? And I would draw these little comps and come up with Garbage Pail Kids and Bazooka Joe comics. And eventually, I was one of the few guys there that knew baseball, so they dumped baseball projects in my lap. One was called Topps Kids,
Okay.
which you can find from the 90s. And I remember doing the fact checking, and I was writing the little gags for the back of the cards. But I
Hmm.
did everything for them. I did wacky packages. I did every New Kids on the Block cards, all kinds of crazy stuff.
I remember
Uh,
they used to have cartoons on the back of the back of the baseball cards. Were you involved with that?
in the day, you're talking about, I'm thinking of the 1970s set.
Uh-huh.
Had those great little spot cartoons, spot
Right.
illustrations on the
Yeah.
backs of the card. Yeah, Topps Kids was sort of an attempt to bring that look back.
Hmm.
I think one of the artists was a guy named Bob Fingerman, who I still talk to, and I'm trying to remember the names of the other artists. But yeah, I didn't do any of the actual illustrations. I would just for baseball cards, I was kind of a writer and a fact checker. I was coming up with concepts and jokes and gags, and then I was finding my way as a comedy writer. So they just kept giving me humor projects. I wound up doing this whole series for them it was the last job I did for Topps long after I had left, and they shut down the factory in Brooklyn, and they moved to Whitehall Street, downtown New York. They became legit,
Hmm.
and they dropped this job in my lap called Hollywood Zombies, which you guys can Google, or your listeners can Google. And I think I had 4 days to do the whole set. And I think I wrote something like 88 gags and card backs in 4 days, which was
Hollywood
exhausting.
Zombies.
Wow.
Hollywood Zombies. That
Yeah.
sounds that
Yeah.
Yeah.
sounds good.
With
Yeah.
some great art, which was basically, it was a half-baked concept. It was celebrities as zombies. So it was zombie Madonna and George Clooney and Oprah. And I had to write the backs and come up with the funny zombified name. I mean, I've done so many weird jobs as a gag writer over the years, you know.
The reason I mentioned Craig, and I know it was long-winded,
Hmm.
was because we have to find a connection with baseball or barbecue. In this case, with you, it's baseball, because I didn't realize until I did all my research, all the connections you have with baseball. And the first thing that I saw, other than the Topps cards, and
Uh-huh.
you sent us some things to talk about,
Yeah.
which I appreciate.
Some
But
oddities.
yeah, I saw that you wrote for the Boston Red Sox. You wrote jokes for David Ortiz and Kevin Youkilis.
I did.
Tell,
Wow.
tell us about that.
When you're a freelance joke writer, and you never know where the next call is coming from or what the next assignment is going to be. I was friends with a guy named Mike O'Malley who had a sitcom called Yes Dear. People know Mike.
Yeah.
Mike's a working actor.
Hmm.
He's done a ton of stuff, many, many commercials, and he was hosting the Red Sox Welcome Home dinner. And they needed some. They were playing games, and there were. I think they did. I think they were playing match game, actually. And Kevin Youkilis and David Ortiz were two of the contestants. It was to raise money for the Jimmy Fund, which I believe is
Right.
the Red Sox
Hmm.
charity.
Yes, it is.
And I was just asked to come up with game show questions and jokes. And I went up writing a couple of lines, I think, for Tom Werner, for the owner.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
So
really?
so that was fun and out of the box. You know, I
Now, when you
apologize. I apologize if you can hear the sirens behind me, by the way.
when you as long as they're
Manhattan
not coming for you, Frank.
Manhattan
So,
living.
um, when
That
you
was fun.
write for other when you write for people, you have to write in their voice, right? You
Yeah.
wouldn't write you have to write a joke that a David Ortiz would actually say, or a
Well,
Kevin Youkilis.
yes. And and as I have no knowledge that David Ortiz has ever actually told a joke publicly. He doesn't really have a comic persona. But that's
No,
what
he's not known for being funny.
It's
Yeah.
funny you bring that up because that's what I became known as in the business, as a guy who could write in anybody's voice. In fact, those credits you've listing in those award shows, I didn't write for Ellen DeGeneres' show. I wrote for the Mark Twain Prize out of the Kennedy Center, which they gave
Okay,
to Ellen DeGeneres. So
gotcha.
whether it was Lucy Arnaz or Molly Shannon or Marty Short or any of the people that were, or Maya Rudolph, I did one for Carol Burnett as well. Um, Whether you're writing award shows or roasts or fundraisers or like the Red Sox event, you're always writing in somebody else's voice. And I became known again through default and it being a happy accident as being a guy who had an ear for other people's voices and being able to write a joke in their voice.
Hmm.
If they have an established persona like Martin Short, obviously, or Howard Stern, who I wrote for, it's obviously easier when you're writing for somebody. How do you write jokes for Kevin Youkilis? But I've written for politicians and I've written for all kinds of people because I'm a bit of a comedy chameleon. And Meryl Streep you mentioned too, same thing. That was an award show at Radio City. That Good Housekeeping was behind something called the Shine On Awards, and they had Gwyneth Paltrow and Heather Graham and Meryl Streep, and okay, somebody has to, and Fran Drescher, and somebody has to come in and write the funny copy and
Right.
write the introductions and write the boilerplate award show stuff. And I became a guy who could do that, and my name got around, and I got a lot of that work.
Well, Fran Drescher, funny. Meryl
Yeah,
Streep, I can't see her as being funny.
she's actually quite funny. Yeah, she asked me if she could change the copy a little bit to put it
Uh-huh.
more in her own voice, and I was stunned by the ask.
Uh-huh.
So it's an honor to write for some of these people. And it's a weird thing because you don't really get to know them. You get the assignment, you write the material, you either send it in and you're not at the event. In some cases, you are at the event. I was in this case, and you're backstage and you introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Frank. I'm the guy that wrote this material, and sometimes they're very receptive, and sometimes they're a little wary of you.
Mm.
And then the night is, it's you're Cinderella for the night, and then the show is over, and you turn back into a pumpkin in the morning, and you're out hunting for work again. I mean,
Right.
that was the freelance life. The Bill Murray thing you mentioned was the Writers Guild Awards, and wrote the whole show for Bill and people like John McCain, and I wound up writing copy for and jokes for Andy Rooney and Dan Rather and all of these people. And then you're sky high for the evening because you're in the thick of it, and the next day you wake up and you're out of work. You're
right.
trying to figure out how to pay your phone bill.
That's what I always say to Jeff. We do these interviews, and we speak to people like yourself, and part of this is just we love to have conversations with with people. It doesn't matter whether they're celebrities. I mean, you commented before we went on air that we've had this great guest list,
Yeah, very
but
impressive.
well, we appreciate that. But everyone has a story, so there are plenty of people on that list that
Oh yeah, we used to say
never
that
heard
about
of it.
We used to say that
Right,
about the Gilbert show. I mean, you couldn't, we were very fortunate to have the Carl Reiners and the Dick Van Dykes and the Alan Arkins, but you
right.
can't get those people every week.
No,
No, no.
And the week,
I'm sorry. I got to ask you about the
sure,
Gilbert Godfrey show. I
yeah,
mean, when I first discovered it, it was Larry Storch, and
yeah,
it had to
I
be
think
one of
that
your
was show,
first
I think that
ones.
was show 3 or 4.
And weren't you in his apartment doing that?
We
Oh,
were on
that
the
was.
Upper West Side.
I remember
Yeah,
watching F Troop and all those shows back
sure,
then, and Larry Storch was so funny, and then I
lovely
became a
man.
big fan of the show. I'm a big Batman fan, so I remember the Catwoman you had on, Julie
Yeah,
Newmar,
yeah.
and Lee Merriweather, Adam West, Burt Ward. I mean, those were just
Thank you for listening.
yeah, and the monster guy, Boris Karloff. I remember you having his daughter on. I think
We
it was
had
his
Sarah
daughter.
Karloff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were making that show up as we went, and neither one of us knew what a podcast was.
Hmm.
I don't
right.
think Gilbert ever realized what a podcast was,
Uh-huh.
and that was it was I've said it many times. It was a lark. We thought we'd do 10.
Right.
And we thought, oh, this is kind of fun. We get to go to people's houses. We'll go to Larry Storch's apartment. We went to
Hmm.
Barbara Feldon's apartment
Barbara
from Get
Feldon,
Smart,
yes.
and Lee Grant,
Yes.
the Oscar winner. And we were nomadic in those days because we didn't have a studio. But I didn't know what I was doing. I'm a behind the scenes guy. I was never really on a mic. And I didn't. We were making it up as we went along, and Gilbert and I thought, well, this is kind of a goof. We get to talk to Adam West and Barbara Feldon and Larry Storch, and we'll do 10 or 15 of these, and we'll run out of people that are alive from our childhood. We wound up doing 600,
Wow.
well over 600 shows.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
So,
and
and there,
I loved some of the ones that you did, even when you didn't have a guest. That you talked about whether it was game shows or
yeah,
whatever.
those were the mini episodes we
Yeah, the
called them.
mini episodes, right? Yeah, you had the Gilbert Gottfried Amazing Colossal Podcast, but then you also had the Gilbert and Frank
Colossal Obsessions.
Yes.
Colossal Obsessions. Yeah,
Well, I realized a
yes,
couple of things. First of all, the podcast company that we were with, the network, wanted more material. They wanted 2 shows in a week, and I could not in any way pull off 2 90-minute interviews with a celebrity
right.
in a week. It would have killed me. And then I realized, Gilbert, we're not even bringing out necessarily the best of Gilbert when there's a guest because Gilbert's in service to the guest. If Carl Reiner or Norman Lear or Robert Wagner or somebody like that is on the show, it's their stage. And Gilbert was, funny enough, but functioning as a host.
Hmm.
So it occurred to me I could do something with just Gilbert, and then Gilbert could be the focus of the show. And I think those are the ones that I go back and I listen to because you could actually hear our friendship developing
Yeah.
over the course of the
Yeah,
show.
that's
We
nice.
knew each other. We had worked together numerous times, but we were not friends. When we did that first show with Dick Cavett, it was the first time I was ever in his apartment. So everything was developing on mic. But those shows, those mini shows, was just me and Gil kicking around, the Dean Martin roasts or the Battle of the Network Stars or any of that stuff that we love to obsess about. Those were fun, and there's an intimacy to those that wasn't present when we would have when we're doing a career-defining interview. I mean, I like them both. I like both of the shows for different reasons, but the Gilbert and Frank ones, I do return to those now,
Yeah, yeah.
and I get a little choked up listening to some of them.
I'm
We
sure
were
you do.
yeah, and like anything, and what have you guys on episode 300-400 now?
Something
Uh,
like that. In the 310, 312, something like that.
So you know as well as I do, these things go in
Oh yeah.
stages.
Yeah.
And you develop a different voice, and
Hmm.
the show develops a different kind of style,
Hmm.
and
Sure.
you trying to be and I was out of the game for 3 years, and I just got back into it, as you said in the intro.
Yes. So a couple of things there. You mentioned the Billy Martin roast. I mean, not the, Billy
Uh-huh.
Martin, the Dean Martin roast. And I want to ask you about the Billy Martin roast that you wrote jokes for. But I've been watching some of those Dean Martin roasts. I taped them off of this Catchy Comedy, whatever station it is. and I see that they're put on like before the show starts, like a warning. This is comedy from the '70s. It's outdated or it's in its time, things like that, like a public service announcement. But those shows were so funny. I still have some to watch too.
The Dean Martin
Yeah,
roasts.
yeah,
Yeah, the only thing about them is they're a little cut up.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they're a little they're kind of assembled with Scotch tape
Right.
because I think that the reactions we used to
Hmm.
joke about it on the Gilbert podcast that the reaction shots of Orson Welles pounding the table,
Hmm.
were shot 20 minutes after the
Right.
after the performers delivered their roast remarks. If you look at them now, they're a little bit kind of assembled.
Hmm.
But
Yes.
yeah, I agree that you're getting to see the greatest comedians of our generation at their peak.
Yes.
You
And what
know,
about the Billy Martin roast that you helped write for?
that was a
Yeah,
fluky
what a
thing.
cast.
Yeah.
Am I coming through here on this
Yeah,
mic?
you're good.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
you are.
I was a very young writer, and I think it was the first or second job that the William Morris Agency threw my way, and yeah, I was with a I was with this agent named James Dixon, who's now the manager of Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel and Jon Stewart. He's done okay for himself.
Yeah, I would say
But
so.
in those days, he was a young agent, and he called me and said, and I was a young writer, and he said, "Do you want to do this thing for? We need somebody to write jokes for Larry Bud Melman."
Oh, Larry Bud Melman. I
From
remember
Larry
him.
from
Bud
David
Melman.
Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Larry Bud Melman was the persona of a guy named Calvert DeForest, who was basically an actor, who was a struggling actor, and he was discovered by two guys named Carl Tiedemann and Steve Weiner, who put him on the Letterman show, and Dave and I guess Merrill Marco took a shine to him, and they made him into this character,
Hmm.
this Larry Bud Melman character. So he was booked somehow or another for the Billy Martin roast. I'm pretty sure Billy Martin had no idea who he was. And they had a gimmick, which was that he was going to play Billy's Little League coach, his first coach or his first manager. And I said, okay, I get it. I know where we're going with this. And they were all jokes that I could dig it out and send it to you guys, actually. I still have it in my files. It was fun to do. It was a network credit, and I was a kid. But God love him. Larry Bud Calvert's delivery left a little bit to be desired. He was reading the whole thing off a teleprompter. So it didn't come out. Listen, it was fun and it was a lark, but it didn't come out the way you kind of heard it in your ears or your head while you were writing it.
Well, you had Mickey Mantle on that show, Howard
Yeah.
Cosell,
Yeah, I think you can
Sinatra.
find it. I think you can find it somewhere on
Yeah.
YouTube, and it was. I didn't attend. It was in L.A.
Uh-huh.
A lot of these things that I wrote, I never got to go. When they were in New York, I would go. The Friars roasts that I wrote in New York, I attended, but the Comedy Central roasts and in L.A. I didn't attend, and this one I didn't attend. So that's weird too. You're writing for people and you're sending material in, and you never meet them. You never have any actual interaction.
Mhm.
Frank, back to baseball for a second.
Yeah.
Colin Cosell is the PA announcer at Citi Field, grandson of Howard Cosell.
I did not know that, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very
And
interesting.
we had him on the show, and well, actually, I was absent that day, so Jeff was gracious enough to go it alone with
Oh, okay.
Colin
Yeah.
Cosell, and but we had him on.
Uh,
He apparently does an amazing imitation of his grandfather,
Grandfather,
and
sure.
of course, Jeff forgot to ask him to do it. But
Oh,
I'm
get
not
him
upset
back.
about that. 2 years later,
When you had Costas on, did he do his Cassell for you?
We didn't have Costas on
we didn't have
yet.
Costas yet.
Oh, you
yet.
got to have him.
Yeah.
He's a blast.
We've had Steve Albert and Kenny Albert, but we haven't had Costas. We're supposed to meet him at an event later next month, and
Yeah.
Oh, all
hopefully-
right. I'll try
yeah.
to put in a word.
Oh, thank
he
you.
did 2 shows for us and Gilbert, and I got to know him pretty well. He does a wonderful Cosell.
Mhm.
He's actually a pretty gifted mimic.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's very talented. I could do an inside joke now, and you know what? You'll understand it, and it's just us talking, and if
Try
the
me.
audience doesn't get it, okay. So I'm thinking, and Frank, being that you're a joke writer, so I was going to go with just Frank, as we're talking, there seems to be a helicopter that keeps circling over my house. All right. Then I thought, should I add to that? Frank, my wife is at the store. She's buying oranges,
Hilarious.
and I keep hearing this helicopter over the house. I'm not sure where to go with it.
You guys really did listen to the old show, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I will encourage anyone who has no clue what we are talking about right now to listen to that show. You're gonna love it. It's
All right.
And
Pardon the expression, but it's pretty inside baseball. They'll have to go listen. The helicopter story involves a legendary comedy writer named Pat McCormick,
uh-huh.
who
Yep.
most people would know as Big Enos in the Smokey and the Bandit
Mm-hmm.
series. But there are some. This is another one of those Gilbert things. Buck Henry told us the story. Ronnie Shell told us the story. It
oh
it
yeah.
may or may not be true, but on our show it didn't matter. We just printed the legend. Which
That
is
one though,
you could
that
have
one
called the
was
show Print the
verified
Legend.
enough. That one
Yeah,
was verified enough. I think it might be true. Um,
yeah. And the orange wedge thing, Gilbert completely made up.
Oh, really?
I have a friend named Dave Boone who writes for the Oscars, and we were just talking casually a couple of weeks ago, and he said, I think I know where Gil got the Cesar Romero orange wedge thing. And I said, where? And he said, we were having a rehearsal at Billy Crystal's house one of the years that I was writing, this is Dave speaking, that I was writing for Billy. And he said it was late at night and people were drinking and they were getting punchy and stories started circulating through the writer's room there at Billy's house about rumors, unfounded rumors. And somebody floated the Cesar Romero thing, which by the way has a baseball connection if you guys know it.
oh, please tell.
Well, are you familiar with Jim Bouton's book Ball 4?
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. Years into the show, and so your listeners will explain what we're talking about. Gilbert, whether it came from Billy Crystal's house or not, which is what Dave claims, but somehow Gilbert got wind of this idea and put this out on the old show every other week. It became such a staple of the old show that my wife and I actually manufactured orange wedge pins and sold them as merch. That Cesar Romero would pay young males to. I have to laugh. I'm looking at myself on the screen here, and I look ridiculous. I sound ridiculous saying it. That he would pay young males to hurl orange wedges, not sections or segments, but wedges, not slices, at his naked buttocks while he stood in ankle deep water.
Mm-hmm.
And years later, by the way, he says this to Caesar to Lee Merriweather, who worked with Caesar. He says it to Adam West because he's fearless.
Right.
The reactions ranged, from ridiculous to slightly less ridiculous. And then somebody pointed out that a pitcher named Dick Raditz, Radatz,
Mm-hmm.
you may know that name,
Yep.
was paid by a rich man to throw baseballs at his buttocks.
Oh.
And it's in Jim Bouton's book. So I'm starting to think that somebody read that story and somehow put Cesar Romero and oranges
Mm-hmm.
instead of baseballs. I have really no idea, and I'm digging a deeper hole here of the origin of this. But nobody ever verified it, and knowing Gilbert as I do, I'm pretty sure he pulled it out of his tush.
Well, I mean,
But it became the stuff of legend.
Yes.
he told he was fearless. I mean, he told Matthew Broderick that
Oh yeah,
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The first thing he said to him it was a shitty movie.
he said, and I quote, "Can I curse on your show?"
Yeah, I just did. So
Oh,
go ahead.
he said, I fucking hated Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I could see Matthew wilting in the chair because this is his signature role.
Mhm.
He's not saying he hated the chimp movie. And that, one of the reasons people said, well, why did you wait 3 years to do another one of these? I could never replace that. I could never do that with a guest or, let alone a famous person. To have the balls and the courage to say that to someone of that stature.
Hmm.
He was unique.
Yes. And there is a baseball reference in that movie. So, they go to a Chicago
Oh,
Cubs
sure, they
game.
go to Wrigley Field.
Right.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
so there you go.
yeah.
Speaking of baseball, you also have one you wrote for, and this one is thanks to you for telling us, because I did not find this in my research. Teammates, which was an
Teammates was a
ESPN game
pilot.
show. Okay.
It was a pilot. It was an ES hosted by the late Stuart Scott,
Hmm.
the ESPN anchor. It was a fun idea. It was basically the Newlywed Game with teammates who roomed together on the road,
Okay.
and it was what was the same premise. And again, I found myself writing the questions. I'd have to dig out who was on the pilot. I think there were two baseball players. It was two baseball players, two hockey players, and two basketball players. But it was a fun premise.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
today's
and
day
it didn't go any.
they don't
Sorry.
room
Go ahead,
anymore
Jeff.
though. I'm just saying they don't room anymore together.
No,
Right.
this is
Yes,
12
way
years
back.
ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what? It just one episode. That was it. It didn't
I
go.
think it was a pilot and nothing happened with it. Is that true? Players don't room together on the road anymore?
No, they don't. They all have to set their own room, and the
Isn't that
superstars have
interesting?
a suite or something. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Soto stays in his own hotel, right?
exactly.
And they're
You know,
they're in the
Frank,
Ramada down the street.
I once went in Toronto on a business trip, and the Yankees were actually staying at the same hotel. And there is Randy Johnson and Jason Giambi and Derek Jeter, but A-Rod was in another hotel.
Yeah, that's good for
Yeah,
team morale.
yeah, exactly.
You guys old enough to remember Sports Challenge, hosted by Dick
Yes,
Enberg?
yes, December, yes.
Yeah, I've talked to Costas about that. I missed that show, and there really hasn't been. I was excited to work on this pilot because there really hasn't been. I can't think of too many sports game shows.
No, I
It's
know.
not something you see a lot of
Now,
anymore. SNY will pull out something every now and then. At least they used to.
I think one of the streaming networks has a Sports Jeopardy.
Oh, is that so? I
I
haven't
think,
seen that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't seen that.
yeah.
I did a lot of weird things that intersected with baseball
Mhm.
over the years.
Well, speaking about baseball and TV, I want to go back a couple of decades. I mean, you know the your pop culture, know all about that. So I've been doing the little research, Len and I, and we came up with baseball players who were on old TV shows. I
Yeah.
remember Willie Mays on Bewitched,
Oh yeah.
Wes Parker on the Brady Bunch, Don Drysdale on the Donna Reed Show, and Mr. Ed. Leo DeRocha, I remember him on the
On
Munsters.
on the Munsters and
Yeah,
Mr. Ed.
and Mr. Ed. Yes.
Leo got around.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And Drysdale was in everything.
Yes, he was.
In those days, growing up in this and watching TV in the 60s, you could see a Dodger. Why am I remembering Maury Wills on something? Wes Parker. Jim Lefevre, am I saying his name right?
Yep.
He was always a hard name to pronounce.
Hmm.
Turned up on Batman.
Yeah. Oh, I don't
Real.
remember. I don't
Yeah,
remember
he's
that.
when
Wow.
when John Aston took over as the
Was the
Riddler.
Riddler?
He's one of the Riddler's stooges, and he
Oh,
played for the Dodgers. I believe he managed the Seattle Mariners,
he might have. Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
Do you guys remember Reggie on a Ned Beatty sitcom?
No, I don't. I really
That's a
don't.
deep cut.
Yeah.
Ned Beatty of Network and Deliverance fame had a sitcom. I'll probably mangle this too, called Siznik,
Okay.
and you could Google it. And Reggie was my favorite. I was a Met fan, but I loved
Hmm.
Reggie because I love the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's were my second team. And Reggie showed up on Siznik, and that was big news
Yeah.
in the late '70s, right around Reggie Barr era.
Yeah. And Sandy Koufax was also on Dennis the Menace. I don't remember that one.
Yes, yes, he was. And do you remember that? Speaking of Ball Four, do you remember that Ball Four was a short-lived series?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes.
That-
Seven
yes,
episodes
yes.
in 1976.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Don Drysdale, did you mention that he was on the Brady Bunch? Did we
Oh,
say
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don Drysdale got around
He did.
Yeah.
in those days. This is
Yeah.
not really TV related, but kind of adjacent. Have you guys seen the footage of the 1967 celebrity softball game that's on YouTube?
No, but I will. I gotta
1967.
check
With
that
Woody.
out.
Oh, well, you guys are in for a treat. If there's no other takeaway from this show, there's footage on YouTube of Dick Shawn, James Garner, Robert Loggia, Peter Falk, Uncle Milty, and Woody Allen
Wow.
playing Willie Mays, Killebrew, McCovey, Maury Wills, Clemente.
Wow.
DeRocher is there, and Vince Scully is doing the play-by-play and the color commentary. Hold on to your seats. Jerry Lewis.
Oh, wow.
Google this.
Oh, definitely will.
It's an
1967. Wow.
absolute fascinating curio. Hollywood stars, I guess they called themselves. I think it was something that they did through the late 60s and early
Yeah.
70s.
There used to be a minor league team called the Hollywood Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was did they play in Wrigley Field in LA?
They might have. Yeah, they
yeah.
might have played out of there.
Yeah. Have you also seen Brother Theodore and Sammy Davis Jr., played by Billy Crystal, doing Who's on First?
I believe I've seen that. I don't remember. I remember vaguely about that, but
Okay, you got to find that. That's in one of Billy Crystal's specials, which is also on YouTube. I wrote these things down because I thought I'm going to pull out these weird things on these guys
I like that.
and
I like that.
see
One
what
of the
they
best-
remember.
One of the best comedy routines of all time is Who's on First. So, yeah,
Yeah,
that is
I did when I was in high school. I had a friend named Dennis, and he looked a little bit like Lou Costello, and I was tall and thin. And we would do these little Abbott and Costello routines. We wound up doing it in our high school talent show, and then we did it in the high school gong show, and we won the high school gong show. And we started getting booked to do corporates, which was absolutely ludicrous. I was 18 and had no idea what was happening. And I bring this up because we did one with a Hall of Fame umpire.
ah,
Do you remember Tom Gorman?
sure.
Tom Gorman uh, was hosting a fundraiser with a comedian named Jack Eagle, who's also relevant because he's the father of the sportscaster Ian Eagle.
Iron Eagle.
Iron Eagle, right?
You
Who
know
went
that
to-
name.
Who
Oh,
went to
yeah,
high
well-
school with my cousin in Forest Hills.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, he's more of an NFL guy, I guess,
Right.
than a baseball guy. But Jack Eagle was Father Dominic, the monk in the Xerox commercials.
Hmm.
And he was the comic, and Tom Gorman got up, and I guess it was the rubber chicken circuit, right? Isn't that what they call it? Where these athletes and used to go on the
Right.
circuit in the off season.
Hmm.
Yes.
And we got up, two green kids not having any idea what the hell we were doing, and there's Tom Gorman, who I of course knew being a Met fan. And we got up and we did Who's on First. And they were very kind to us, but we were very green and very nervous. Since you bring up Who's on First.
Yeah. Now, baseball television, baseball movies. What
Mhm.
you have a favorite?
I think, and this is a very popular opinion, and nothing. I'm not breaking news here. I think Bull Durham is for my money the best baseball movie because it's the one that's most purely about baseball.
Hmm.
I love Field of Dreams as most people do, and I love it for a lot of reasons. But Bull Durham is really about baseball, written by a guy, Ron Shelton, who walked the walk,
Right.
who was a minor league player.
Hmm.
That's my favorite baseball movie. I did write down two others that I'm sure I'm not stumping you with these, but these are maybe less known. I love John Badham's movie, The Bingo Long Traveling All Stars and Motor Kings.
Hmm.
Oh,
Billy,
yeah, with-
Billy D.
with-
Williams.
Yes, and Richard Pryor.
And a
was
young
in that.
Richard Pryor and James
Yes.
Earl Jones
James
playing
Earl Jones.
Yes.
playing the Josh Gibson.
Yeah, he
Yes, that
shows up in a lot
character.
of baseball movies, James Earl Jones.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's in
he
the
does.
two classic ones.
Yeah.
And one you guys might not know, a movie called Stealing Home with Mark Harmon and Jodie Foster from the late 80s.
I heard of it. I don't remember watching it, but I heard of it.
It's very good.
Okay.
Very good.
Mhm.
See if you can find it. And the other one I wrote down is a popular movie, is Moneyball, which I also think is a wonderful baseball movie.
Yeah, good baseball
that's-
movie. Not exactly historically correct, but it's a good baseball
No,
movie.
but it's also really about baseball. It doesn't just use baseball as a backdrop.
Right.
You know, this is my thing about Christmas movies. Gilbert and I used to kind of sort out what's a movie set at Christmas, like It's a Wonderful Life,
Right.
that's not primarily or at its core a baseball movie.
Hmm.
Excuse me, a Christmas movie. And Miracle on 34th Street, a story of having faith in Santa Claus, which is very, very much about Christmas.
Sure.
Right.
So I
Yes.
tried to write down movies that were. Here's another interesting movie that's not entirely successful. Albert Brooks movie, The Scout.
The Scout. Yep.
I bring it up because Andrew Bergman, who was on our podcast, who wrote The In-Laws and wrote Blazing Saddles with Mel Brooks and others, wrote that script for Peter Falk.
Oh,
Really?
okay.
And it
Okay.
went through so many stages of development that it eventually landed with Albert Brooks.
How about that?
But it's just interesting to think of what it could have been. Anyway, those are the odd ones that I wrote down. What about you guys? And tell me why the Babe Ruth story is the worst baseball movie ever made.
Well, before we get to that, I just want to I want to drop one. You mentioned Bull Durham. We had Robert Wool on.
Oh yeah, I wrote down Robert's name. I was gonna ask if you had him yet.
Yeah, we had Robert
He's a
Wool.
great talker.
Oh yeah.
He is. He loves baseball.
He
and
does.
he can't stand Field of Dreams
I know.
because you've heard him talk about
because Shoeless Joe's batting from the wrong side.
No,
James Earl Jones'
James Earl
speech.
Jones' speech.
Oh, the speech.
know.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Because back then he would not have been playing baseball. In
James
Major
Earl
League
Jones
Baseball.
wouldn't be giving this speech. That's baseball,
Well, suspension of disbelief.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
now, yeah. So go back to. I'm sorry, you were asking our favorites. Is that what you were asking?
I want
as
to
far-
know before I let's.
Oh,
let-
but why Babe Ruth? Yes.
why is the Babe Ruth story the worst baseball movie ever made?
Which one? There's two of
Oh
them.
God. Well, the Arthur Hiller movie. I mean, that's Godfather Part 2 compared to the William Bendix version.
Right.
That's the Magnificent Ambersons.
Right.
That Bendix movie, which Costas loves to dine out on, by the way, the fact that Babe accidentally injures the dog that's in the stands and then takes the dog in his arms and runs to the veterinarian. That is a truly wretched film.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, some of my favorite movies is I love comedies. So Major League, the first
Sure,
one, of course.
sure.
Bob Uecker makes that movie. I mean,
Did you ever get Euchre on here?
No, we
Oh,
wish.
too bad.
Yeah, I know. And Charlie Sheen comes in the ninth inning for that coming in with that music. That's fantastic. But I'll throw one out at you, a little known movie. Maybe it's not so little known. Bang the Drum Slowly with
Well, Gilbert liked that one a lot.
one of De Niro's first movies.
Yeah, Danny Aiello was on our old podcast and
Yes.
told us, and I hope this is not apocryphal because it's fun. He told us that De Niro, he had to show De Niro had no interest in baseball and no understanding of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he said something like, you guys can dig out the episode and listen. He either said something like he ran the bases wrong, backward in rehearsal. He had to show him how to swing a bat, explain the game to him. But Gilbert liked that one. Pretty good film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, not so much about baseball.
Right. It's a friendship between him and Michael
Yeah.
Moore.
Yeah,
character,
and that's
yeah.
not an objection. I mean, you could transpose that
Sure.
friendship onto a football story.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are only a handful of good ones. It's not like we could sit here and talk about 40 great baseball movies. The
Right.
first Bad News Bears with Mathau,
Yeah.
It's very good. Yeah.
Classic.
very
Classic.
good. Michael,
Classic,
good,
yeah.
good hands. Michael Ritchie.
Yeah.
Um,
When you mentioned the Babe Ruth, the
Yeah.
Babe with John Goodman,
Yeah.
all I could think of when I'm Babe Ruth.
Yeah, Goodman's not happy with it either. So you're not the only one. It's and there's so many great books about the Babe.
Yeah.
And nobody can seem to make that story work. As Costas says, the best Babe Ruth is the Whammer in The
Not the
Natural.
Whammer, right.
Is Joe Don Baker.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell that story. I guess, and nobody ever had the idea, hey, let's get Babe to play himself, the way Jackie Robinson did
Well, then he
Right.
played himself in
Pride of the Yankees.
Right.
Yeah, but he's only
Yes.
got 10 minutes of screen
Right.
time.
Right.
Right.
But he actually acquits himself fairly well
Mhm.
as an actor.
Yeah. And he did an old movie, Coming Home, I think, a silent movie. He was in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I would like very much to see somebody write the you know what I think would make a good movie? Maybe somebody's already pitched this to you guys. There's a pretty good documentary about the Swingin' A's.
Ah, this one, I know there's a book about them. Yeah.
Yeah, they were always at each other's throats,
Hmm.
and they just kept winning. And the story, and there is a good doc. There's a good ESPN doc about it. But you know, Finley is this wonderful movie villain, and you know they pay, the way the team fell apart, and the team was always fighting with the manager, and the manager was fighting with the owner, and yet they just kept winning. I think there's something in that story. If anybody could ever do it, or if there was a, you know, and Raleigh Fingers and Bando and Reggie and Vita Blue and Catfish. I mean, these great characters.
Frank,
Yeah,
you're a writer. Come on. Where's the
yeah,
script? Okay.
yeah. I'm not that kind of writer.
You know,
That's a long form writer.
the one of my favorites is A League of Their Own.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
great.
that.
It's great.
I love that movie. And the ending, I could watch that over and over when Madonna is singing It Used to Be My Playground, and
Yeah.
those women are out there playing. And we had a couple of them on the show. We had Maybelle Blair and Shirley Berkovich. They actually were in the movie.
Oh,
And
were they Rockford Peaches?
uh,
Well, in the movie they were, but
yeah,
on when they played during
real
it,
life,
Oh,
played,
oh,
they actually
what was the
played.
name of the real team?
one of them
No, it
was
was
Rockford Peaches.
Rockford
yeah,
Peaches.
the
Yeah,
Rockford Peaches.
yeah.
But these women actually played in the they weren't just actors. They were in the movie at the end, but they actually played in the league.
That's
And
what
to
I was
hear the
asking. Yeah,
stories, yeah,
yeah.
it was I forget what teams they played on, but and Maybelle Blair is still going strong at
Oh,
97.
wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, she actually just so there's going to be a women's league now, a women's baseball league,
That's what I hear.
Hmm.
and she's behind it, a lot of it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And
It's a wonderful movie. Yeah,
yeah,
can't leave that one off the list.
yeah. Now that's one of the best ones.
How
I
did you
agree with
what you guys
go
grew up in my era? I mean, what was the if you don't mind my asking a question, what was the thing that got you guys so smitten with the game?
You know,
Both of you Met fans, by the way?
yeah,
I'm
Yeah, we
so
yes,
are.
sorry.
yeah, me too.
I'm starting a support group at the local Knights of Pythias.
We'll be there.
I did my formative years. I grew up in Flushing before moving to Bayside, and it was just a couple blocks from Shea Stadium.
Uh-huh.
And my older cousin would take me to Shea Stadium, and it was 6, 7 years old, and
Do you remember your first game?
I remember her taking me to a old timers game, and she said she wanted to get tickets in advance, and she wanted to get box seats. She couldn't get box seats for some reason. Then when we go, she sees they're on sale box seats. She goes, "Why couldn't we get box seats?" I remember that, but we went to an old timers game with my first game. It was great.
And
Yeah, I
and you
also
and you, Len?
yeah. So I also I was born in Flushing, lived in Flushing for the first few years. My dad was a Mets fan. His father was a Mets fan.
Okay, so
But, it's you get that
yeah,
it's a gene.
you're
It's a
stuck with it.
suffering gene.
Well, people who don't know, people who aren't from New York don't know this, but you grew up either in a National League family or an
Hmm.
American League family,
Right.
Yeah.
and the Mets are the hybrid
Yes.
of the Dodgers and the Giants.
Hmm.
You know, my mother had a best friend who lived in Flushing, not far from Booth Memorial Hospital.
That's where I was born.
There you go. And I'm sure you can relate to this. From their stoop, they lived on a second floor, and from the terrace, you could just see Shea in the distance. You could see the lights, and so that was a big thing to us as kids. My first game was 71. Want to say that Phil Necro shut the Mets out on about 4 hits.
Uh-huh.
So
That
it wasn't
that
exactly,
checks.
Sounds
yeah,
right.
it checks. And I remember that we left the stadium and we drove to oh God, it was some kind of department store, and we saw Ken Singleton
Ah, Ken
in the
Singleton.
department store after the game.
Wow. Traded for Rusty Staub.
Traded for Rusty
Yes.
Staub. Yep,
Yes.
famously. You know,
I,
those are good memories.
sure. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she came over from France, and she came to the United States, didn't know a word of English, but learned English listening to the radio, listening to the New York Giants baseball game.
There
And
you
then
go.
then she left, and
Russ Hodges.
then they left. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
became a Met fan, and so we watched together.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a particularly excruciating. I mean, we've been through our share,
Yeah.
but this one separated the men from the boys.
Yes.
Yeah, but I have, listen, Frank, I have faith because I think, look, we have the owner who's willing to spend the money.
Yeah, you got that. You got
He
a good
brought
farm system.
good farm system. We've got a good lineup. I mean, good core. We've got
Yeah.
some really good
We're not
players.
living through the
Yeah.
Metal the Mule days.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think
The Deroulé family.
I
Remember
think
the mule?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
it was a blip. This season was a blip on the screen, maybe a
I,
big blip, but
I love your optimism.
yeah, well, I said on another show, as Met fans, we're optimistically pessimistic.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I think we're masochists.
Yes,
My
that
mother,
too.
my late mother, who left me a couple of years ago at the ripe old age of 95, she used to see me getting upset at the game as a kid, and she would come into the room and say, "Do you think Cleon Jones cares about you? They don't care about you. Why do you care about them?"
That was a line in the Bronx Tale. Mickey Mantle's not going to pay your rent.
That's it. Same thing. My mother was ahead of her time.
We
My mother
had
was the
Cleon
Chaz
Jones.
Palminteri of her era.
Yes,
We had
You had
Cleon
Cleon Jones on the show?
we did.
Yes, we did.
Oh, how's Cleon doing?
He's doing great. He's working down there in Mobile.
The pride of Mobile.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Frank, we are so appreciative for your time. And I mean, we'll talk to you all night, but we want to get to your new podcast, which
Oh,
Yeah.
you're very sweet.
Yes.
is called Fun for All Ages, and it's been out now for a few months. I am loving it.
Thank you.
I mean, you have episodes that just are so what I love. I mean, you had an episode on cereals, game
Yes.
shows.
Yes.
You had one episode where it was like I don't know, it was almost like a wrap up or a final farewell to Gilbert and the show.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have something I didn't get to listen to it yet. I believe it was about amusement parks or something
Yeah,
like
we
that.
did one about theme parks and amusement parks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just tell us about the new show and where we could get it. And it's just a phenomenal show.
Thank you, pal. That's a very nice thing to say. I didn't want to do the same show. I didn't really want to do 90-minute interview. I mean, I will sometimes if I am lucky enough to book somebody that I didn't get on the first show, and that person deserves a kind of a career tribute, I will do them. But I wanted to, I didn't want to repeat myself, and I wanted an excuse to have some of the old guests back. And you can't bring people back and then do the same interview. If Beverly D'Angelo comes back, I've already done the entire career of Beverly D'Angelo
Right.
in 90 minutes. So I thought, well, maybe they have obsessions like I do. And I ran the idea by Jason Alexander at a live event we did for Gilbert. And he loved the idea, and people started pitching me things. Oh, I'll come on and talk about my collection of novelty records, my Alan Sherman records. Oh, I want to come on and I want to talk about, in fact, the one we have up now, Atomic Age horror movies. We're talking about Godzilla and The Day the Earth Stood Still, was pitched to me by a filmmaker named Jeff Lieberman. So people like the idea enough to say, I want to come talk about this thing. And I thought, well, here's a way to do nostalgia, to do what I'm good at and what I love, but to do it differently.
Yeah.
And we did dabble with Gilbert on the mini episodes. We did dabble in some of these things.
Right.
But unless it was in Gilbert's sweet spot, it would have been hard to do a whole hour on cereals.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to those mini episodes, I was picking things, worst Frankenstein movies and
Right.
and one-hit wonders of the 1970s. I was always trying to pick something that was in Gilbert's wheelhouse to fully engage him. This time I thought, well, I get to talk about the things I'm obsessed with. And just pure silliness, pure fun. I thought, what if you took a silly, trivial subject like amusement parks or breakfast cereals, and you did this kind of granular Ken Burns-esque analysis, like you were talking about something as important as the Civil War or the Brooklyn Bridge.
Right. And it's breakfast cereal.
But you're talking about King Vitamin
Right. Or Quisp.
or Quisp. So I thought, well, that's kind of, and I did a lot of looking around, and I thought, well, nobody's really doing this show. Nobody's really doing these kind of deep dives into silliness, into the pop culture of our childhoods, and that's just where I live. That's just where the fun is for me. And I'm
Hmm.
obviously going to be interviewing people of a similar generation.
Yeah. You know,
Although I met a, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I was listening to your show on the Wonderful World of Game Shows, and that
Yeah,
must have been like 2.5 hours because you broke it up into two parts, and
it was. It
it
went.
was
Yeah.
one. I wrote down a couple of notes here that
Thank you.
was just fantastic. I mean, one of your guests were talking about going to their first game show in the city. He had to be 6 years old. He was 5 years old, and
That was Bob Bowden, who's a game show legend.
yes, yes. So
Yeah.
I remember going to my first game show, going to in the city. My mom taking me to see Beat the Clock.
I
So
love with Jack Nars.
yeah, it was great. Beat the
Oh,
Clock.
yeah, that was one of the local ones.
Yeah, yeah. And also, you talk about Lucille Ball doing something on a stage,
On
taking
Super.
questions.
Yeah.
And I Googled it, looked it up, and saw some of that. That was unbelievable. I
Yeah, I
mean,
put the clip into the show.
yeah, yeah.
Well, there you go. I work at The View, and Bob came to a taping of The View, and we went to lunch. He's a mutual friend of my friend Bob Harris, who's a Jeopardy champ. And I said, he said, I love in the new show. And I said, well, pitch me an idea. And he's a game show guy. He produced Press Your Luck and all of these different shows. And he said, let's do a whole show about game show history. I have another guy who's an expert who's written 8 books on the subject. So I'm kind of yeah, I'm in the driver's seat because I'm hosting the thing, but I'm also sitting back a little bit
Hmm.
this time and letting people bring it to me.
Hmm.
You know, you guys could come on in the future, and we'd find a baseball angle. We'd find something that you haven't done. I'm obsessed with the multicolored uniforms of the 1970s.
Ah, yes, yes, the Astros, right?
Well, the Astros rainbow and
Yeah,
the Pirates mix and match yellow, black, and
sure.
and
What
pinstripes.
the White Sox shorts? That was
Yeah,
something, right?
I love Uniwatch on
Yes,
the awful White Sox shorts, and the Indians all red
yes,
and all
yes.
blue. And I was saying that I wrote these things down when I started Fun for All Ages. My wife said, get a legal pad and just write, just brainstorm and brain dump and write. I wrote 100 ideas. And I was writing this baseball uniforms. Is that enough for a show?
It could be.
Could we make baseball uniforms fascinating
I'm
for
sure.
90 minutes?
Yeah, I'm sure we could.
You bring on a guy like Paul Lucas,
Yeah.
you know,
What?
guys
Yeah.
like you. And that's what it is. It's bringing on experts to obsess about the things they love. And I
Hmm.
feel like for a listener, if you hear other people obsessing and loving something and being passionate about something, I think that carries the day. It makes it easier for me too because I don't have to chase celebrities every week,
You know,
which is frankly a pain in the ass.
one other thing on the game show episode that you had, Barney Martin was
Yeah,
Morty Seinfeld. My
Morty
God,
Seinfeld.
I couldn't believe that he
Isn't that
was
great
fired
trivia?
from it. That was a great story.
He was the audience coordinator for, I guess, 21.
Uh-huh.
If I'm getting this right, and he got caught up in the game show
Yeah.
scandals.
And Herb Stempel taught at the high school here in Queens.
Yeah.
That was shocking.
Yeah, and
Didn't
my
know
buddy
that.
Rich Brown, who co-hosted that show with
Uh-huh.
me, interviewed Herb because he had a local cable access show called Beyond Vaudeville.
Uh-huh.
You know, we're recreating the past
Right.
for people who lived through it and want to go back and
Yeah.
and relive it. And you know, it's fun. You guys know. You do a
Yeah.
show every week.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
You guys know what a bear this is.
Sure. Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
find bodies. You got to find people.
Mhm.
You got to. Do you do multiple guests panels or do you do one guest at a time?
We usually do one guest at a time, but we've had several on.
Right.
You got to
Yeah.
clear everybody's schedule.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm using a studio. I'm not doing it this way because I actually want to press the flesh,
Uh-huh.
you
Right.
know, and meet the people and be in the room. And you know, you guys do your own edits too, I assume.
Hmm.
It's a ton, you know, not complaining because I'm having a blast, but
Yeah.
it is a ton of work. So you better love what you pick.
Exactly.
You better love your
Exactly.
topics.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We've
You
been
know-
doing it 8 years,
Yeah.
and it is. You're right, and we do each week. We have a baseball guest and a barbecue guest,
Right.
unless the one guest takes care of both topics. We
I
make
see.
that happen.
So I'm obviously the barbecue guest this week.
Obviously, yes.
Definitely, yes. We want your rib recipe, Frank.
Yes. You know, we also had a Jeopardy champ on our show too.
Who'd you have?
We had Perry Barber. She was a one of the she a pioneering woman's umpire, and
I
she was
love it.
on on Jeopardy. You know, the old Jeopardy with oh, I forgot his name, but
Art Fleming.
Art Fleming, yeah, and she won, and she was
You
fantastic.
you got to have my friend Bob Harris. Bob is a five-time Jeopardy champ, but he
Hmm.
was also on other game shows,
Hmm.
and he's obsessed with the Cleveland Indians.
Okay.
Really?
Now the Cleveland Guardians, but he
Yeah.
grew up with the bad Indians teams in the Mistake by the Lake,
Yes. Right.
and you guys can really go deep
Yes.
with him. Um, yeah, you. The funny thing is, you meet people and you don't even know that they have this other thing about them. I brought up Beverly D'Angelo, and everybody knows the vacation movies
Hmm. Sure.
and Coal Miner's Daughter and these other roles that she's played. But until you talk to her and you spend time with her, you don't find out that you find out that she was a storyboard artist at Hanna-Barbera
Wow.
Wow.
in the
Oh,
70s.
That
And you don't even put those things together in your head.
right.
But
that reminds me.
that's the
Sorry,
fun of
Frank.
this. No.
I should not be interrupting the guest, but you mentioned that, and I have that in my notes. And if I don't ask you, you wrote for Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah, I wrote cartoons when I was in LA in the 90s, starving to death. And and it was that or bus tables, and I thought, well, I could write cartoons. I could write Woody Woodpecker cartoons and Sylvester and Tweety cartoons, and so I did.
One of the best baseball related cartoons is when Bugs Bunny
Oh, yes.
uh, is plays every position. I mean,
Oh, the
that's
best.
classic.
The best. Yeah, I got to spend time with a lot of interesting people doing that, and it wasn't a dream gig for me, but I did get to spend a day with Joe Barbera and Bill Hanna,
Wow.
which was a treat for anybody that grew up on those on Yogi Bear and Huckleberry Hound and the
Hmm.
Jetsons and the Flintstones and all of that stuff. So, you know, it's been a long, strange trip, but that was fun.
I would
No,
imagine you
nobody
have
asked
an
me about those things.
I would I would imagine that you have an obsession with maybe you'll do this. I bet you will. Saturday morning, the Saturday morning shows.
Well, we did one with Gilbert. We did
Yes,
one.
you did. You did.
We did
But the,
one with
yeah,
Bill Leff, who hosts a cartoon show on MeTV, and an
right,
animation historian named Jerry Beck, who's a very interesting guy. But I got to know a lot of these voice actors, like Rob Paulson, who's the voice of Pinky and Pinky and the
right. Pinky
Brain,
in the Brain. Right,
and so these guys, of course, are not only doing the thing, but they're historians.
right.
They know what came before them, and they love this stuff as
Yeah,
well. It's a when you do a show where you can change the premise every week. I could do a show about Jay Ward and Bullwinkle, and the next week I could come back and I could do a show about the $6 Million Man,
right.
bubblegum pop songs from the 70s. It's fun. It's a little daunting because you're making an audio documentary about a new topic every 7 days. So
Right.
it's hard, and it's hard to find the guests. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's a ride.
Yeah,
You
it's fun.
remember
We'll see how long I can do it before collapsing.
remember the Bugaloos?
Of course, we had Sid
Right.
and Marty on the old show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I loved there was one with Bob Denver.
Oh, you
They
mean the
were
Far Out Space Nuts?
yeah, they were right. Who was
Mm,
his other
no,
they
or do I have it
they
wrong?
landed on a planet, right? It was Bob Denver and I
Oh,
forget who
you're going to
he
make me Google this. There was one called the Far Out Space Nuts, and there was one called oh God, what was it was one with Bob Denver and Chuck McCann.
was maybe that was the one, but it was a Saturday morning, right? And they landed and they couldn't, they had to find it was almost like Gilligan's Island, but in space.
Do your guests mind that I'm sitting here Googling while you're asking
Ah,
this?
what? No.
Far Out Space Nuts from 1975 to 1976. Yeah, Bob Denver and Chuck McCann.
Yeah.
There you go. Sid and Marty Krofft.
Yeah. And I remember that one, but nobody talks about that one, you know?
Because it's just so damn obscure.
I know. It was so great. And
And
Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. I
Sigmund and
mean,
the
that
Sea
of course.
Monsters.
Yeah, that
We,
that
we
was
we had Sid and Marty on the old podcast, and they spent the entire episode bickering like the Sunshine Boys. And what was funny is nobody told them. I think Sid was in his 80s at the time. Marty might have been in his early 80s. If Sid might have been in his late 80s. And nobody told them we were a 90-minute show. They thought it was just an interview, like a quick, like a radio interview.
Mhm.
They thought it was like 10 minutes with these two guys. And we're asking question after question after question. And then Marty says, how the hell long is this show? I got to go to the bathroom. But if you listen to that one, it's that one I'm proud of.
Yeah, you've had Penn Jillette on a couple of times.
And Penn Jillette, yep.
And I went to a show out in Vegas, and I was shocked that Teller talked after the show, not
Yeah.
during the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We tried to get a cross section. I was starting to say before that you don't get Dick Van Dyke and Alan Arkin every week, but we would book a guy like Billy Saluga, who was the "You Can Call Me Ray,
right.
Yeah.
Yes,
You Can Call Me Jay" guy.
made a whole career on that.
Whole career. And my wife used to come into the room and I would say, am I going to get 90 minutes out of Billy Saluga? And my wife would come in and she would say, remember, everybody has a story to tell.
Uh-huh.
Yep, that's
And
it.
that's what Leonard said before.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was the key to that show, and hopefully to this one. But you guys have a really durable premise here. You're what, 300 shows, 400 shows? Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, it's hard to run out of. We can always extend. You can always find a guest who. I mean, someone. I mean, Jeff will email me or he'll call or whatever and say, "You want to get so and so on?" Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a lot of baseball players.
Yes.
Very impressed. Did you have
Thank you.
Morgana the Kissing Bandit?
Oh, that's I wish. No,
No,
no.
but we did. But we did have the San Diego Chicken.
Yes.
Oh, what was his name? Archie Anulis?
Ted Giannola.
Ted Giannolis. Is he
Yes.
around?
He is.
Yes, he is.
Bless him.
Yes.
He actually said we said to him, you have no fear being on a barbecue podcast, and he said, "What do I care? Eat the competition."
That's hilarious.
Yes.
We're old enough to remember the sign man from Shea Stadium,
Oh, yes. Yes.
Carl Earhart.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and of course now
Yeah.
there's a pin man. There's the
Yeah.
pin man,
Pin
right?
Man and the cowbell man.
Cowbell. Wasn't
More
there a guy
cowbell.
in the Mistake by the Lake? And wasn't there a guy
Yeah,
that sat
they're
in the
the
bleachers
drummer.
and
Yeah, he
pounded a
just
drum?
he passed away like
Did
2
he?
years ago. Yeah.
And there was the Orioles guy,
Yep.
Wild Bill,
Yes.
guy that used to go on top of the Orioles dugout. This is good stuff. You could do a whole show about mascots.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, look, the Mets have Mr. Met, and
Oh,
is one
poor
of the
Mr. Met.
best, right?
Yes. Poor Mr.
How that man has suffered. It's nice to meet two long-suffering Met fans.
Yes.
It's a
thank you.
pleasure meeting you,
Yes.
Frank. We appreciate it. As we said, we could speak all night,
Yes.
and as you used to say on your show, and I like to say here, we've barely scratched the surface.
You guys really did listen. I'm so honored. I didn't even
Yes.
get to talk about my collection of 7-Eleven baseball Slurpee cups
Ah,
from
remember those?
the early 70s. Or Kurt Bavacqua winning the bubblegum blowing contest, and Tops put out a card for that.
We had Kurt Bavacqua.
Did you have
on.
Kurt Bavacqua?
Yes, we have.
I got to go dig into your archive. Does he remember that?
Yeah, I hope he does. Yeah.
They made a special card
Oh, yes, that.
because
Yeah.
he won the bubblegum
Yeah.
blowing contest. Well, guys, really, this was a thrill for me, and I really appreciate not only the invite, but I appreciate how much you paid attention to the old show, and it's a labor of love.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
This has been wonderful. We appreciate it. We will be listening to the new
Thank you.
show
Mm-hmm.
and supporting it, and just thank you very much for coming on to Baseball and Barbecue. You've
Yes.
been great.
Thank you, guys. It was a kick.
Thank you.
I hope we get to meet in person. Come on
Yes.
into the city, and we'll have lunch.
Definitely. Okay.